What's up, everybody? Tim from Tierfon Orbital here. Space Junk Sabers. Space Junk Scrap? Space Junk Speeder Scrap? Yeah, it's a mouthful. Just going to do a quick walkthrough / rundown video for my most recent commission. It's going to follow the same format as all of my other ones, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about who made the hilt, and my chassis / install design inspiration and all that good stuff. So without further ado, just a little bit of background on Space Junk Sabers. A gentleman by the name of Nevin makes these. They are all one-offs from what I understand. I've seen them, through some of the threads, some of the Discord groups, mainly on Facebook as well. I've seen this grip. And when this particular hilt came across my desk as a commission, I didn't know it was a Space Junk Saber, but I knew the grip. I'm like, I've seen that grip somewhere before. And sure enough, like I asked some of the groups, and Nevin actually spoke up and said, hey, that's one of mine. So, Space Junk Saber. They're awesome and well known for these are Nevin's signature grips. A lot of thought and design went into this hilt and a lot of his hilts, all of his hilts really. They're not just simple, TCSS builds. There's a lot of greebly work that went into this. There's a lot of custom accents that... Sorry. There's a lot of custom accents that went into this, I can tell. So I've always wanted to get one of these in my hand. Fortunate enough and grateful, and I'm also grateful, this particular client has two of them. So he sent me both. One is going to be a chassis upgrade. This was just a full install. So yeah, we'll just get into it. I'm going to talk about my chassis, and we'll go over the outside of the Saber and the inside, like what I usually do. So for the chassis, as with most of my builds, I start with a general idea of what I need, right? So I will measure the internal diameter of the hilt, the length, and get a basic tube shape. I'll do like a rough draft in Shaper 3D, which is an iPad program. I can easily use an iPad pen and do some quick edits, and then I'll bring it into Fusion and do all my greebly work. I'll do all of the intricacies of the chassis. So with this chassis, the client wanted Neos everywhere, right? So did my greebly work, and I also added some channels for NeoPixel strips. There's going to be one around the waist and one going up and down the upper sides of the chassis. So when I do need lenses for windows on a chassis, I like to do that in Fusion as well, so I can get all my dimensions right. That way, when it comes time to printing, I can just single out each lens, export it as an STL, and print away, right? So I did these in, I think, clear Vox Lab translucent resin. Anyway, so that's just a quick rundown on this particular chassis. 24 millimeter or 22 millimeter speaker. There's a kill switch here, but we'll talk about all that when we get up and close, right? So again, here's the outside. We'll talk about that a little bit. So the hilt unscrews in two sections. The pommel unscrews from the grip unscrews from the emitter, and all of these they both unscrew, right? Again, beautiful hilt work on this. Some of these parts are recognizable to me. Some aren't. Some look like they've been custom machined, which I love. I mean, it makes a hilt way more unique, and it also shows the amount of inspiration and design and work that the builder put into the hilt. So huge fan of this hilt. It feels great in the hand. It's super well balanced because this pommel's nice and thick and heavy. When you've got a blade in this, it feels right. So this is Nevin's or Space Junk Sabers custom knurled grip, awesome grip. We've got 2 momentary switches, brass, and the emitter section, right? So let's power it up. I like to turn it on. I'll turn it on before we take the grip off because there's a little bit of a reveal that happens when you take this off. I should probably be wearing sunglasses because these Neos are bright. So yeah, so like I said, client really wanted Neos everywhere. So we've got a spinning turbine NeoPixel, 18 NeoPixel strip here. These are 1.5mm NeoPixels. And then we've got 2 18 NeoPixel strips on each side of the chassis. In the config, each font has 3 blades, okay? The first blade is the main. The second blade are these strips down the side. And the third blade is that turbine ring. So what I went ahead and did was for each font, I just played around with some of the blade animations. So each one's got something different. I mean, come on, looks great. Each font's got something different, right? Both the turbine and the strips down the sides are timed. So unfortunately, when you've got the grip on, you're not going to see these animate, right? So they're timed just to save a little bit on battery, on both power on and power off. So when you power the Saber on, they're going to light for 30 seconds and then they'll dim. When you power it off, they'll do the same thing. And there's different animations for on and off. About this chassis, so what I did was I just went over it with a passive rub and buff, silver rub and buff. Painted some of the greeblies. After doing that passive rub and buff, I matte clear coated it, and I also did some heat staining, like oil staining, down the middle here, just to make it look like it's been used, and like I always do. Put some gouges in the chassis just to make it look like it's been worn and used. When putting this grip on, right? So this is a super tight chassis, or super tight build, right? So, I mean, it fits just fine. Everything's secure. What I did with this particular chassis is you can also get at the kill switch and the USB port through the pommel. So what that'll do is it'll save you from taking that grip on and off, too much. What ends up happening is with some of these painted chassis, unfortunately, if they're really close to the inner wall of this grip, that paint's going to get worn. It's going to look used. It's going to get scratched. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But to save taking that grip on and off a lot, you can do all that from just unscrewing the pommel. So kill switch is there. So main is here. Your aux is the other one. So looking at it, main is on your left, aux is on your right. And that is it, really. I again, like, this has been a really cool hilt to finally get in my hands. I want to have one someday. I'm hoping to. I know that they're one-offs and they are hard to come by. Nevin doesn't do many of them. So I'm lost. I'm looking for a blade. Let's throw a blade in it. And we'll do a little demo. There's a set screw on the top of this. It's a brass set screw. As with all set screws, you just want to have it hug the blade while it's in there. It just feels so good. Like, I've been twist to activate, twist to deactivates, all that's on. I've been I've been pushing a lot of the MHS V1 style grips with my Koran horns, just because my hands are so big. I got like sausage fingers, and they just felt better to me. But the knurling on this grip and like the diameter, it just feels so good. I'm thinking I'll probably start migrating back towards the MHS V2 diameter grips, because it just feels so right. So yeah. All your clashes work. Yeah. So that's pretty much it, right? Space Junk Sabers, beautiful hilt. Probably going to do the same setup with the next Space Junk I have, but this has been a super easy build to accomplish, and I hope you, the customer, is happy with it. If anyone, as you know, as always, I'm a broken record with it. This community has given me a lot, so I'm always happy to give back. If anyone has any questions, if anyone needs any help, please feel free to reach out to me. And that is it. May the force be with you always.